after you've drawn all of your patterns, you're going to take a thin Sharpie and you're going to go ahead and outline all of your lines. Now, for those of you that are working at home, it is perfectly fine to work with materials you do have if you don't have Sharpies. You could leave it all in pencil, you could use a pen, markers, crayons, colored pencils, whatever you have available to you. Once you're done with the pattern, you're going to take a thin Sharpie and you're going to outline all of your patterns. And you're not going to fill in anything yet because first we need to talk about value. Now, value is how light or dark something is. So we want to get a full value range in this work of art, meaning that you're going to have lights, darks, and in-betweens. Now, that can be a little bit tricky when you're working with something that's opaque, meaning that it's not see-through. For example, a pencil, I could just lighten my pressure and do less layers, and I can get a full value range going from dark to light. A Sharpie, I can't really do that. I can't really lighten the pressure. So what I'm going to do is use both thick Sharpie and thin Sharpie. The thick will give me darker values. The thin will give me lighter values. But that's not all. The other thing you want to consider is whether you just outline an object or whether you color an object in. So if you outline an object, now it looks like you've got white in your picture. And then if you color it in, you've got black. Now to get some grays, you're going to think about your proximity. So how close together things are. If you have a lot more black, it's going to look darker than if you spread your lines out and more white of the paper is showing through. You can even do little stipples. So little stipples are like little dots. And the closer you have them together, the darker it'll appear. And the further you spread it out, the lighter it'll appear. You can also do the same with alternating between thick and thin Sharpies. So you can get some cool gradients just by moving your Sharpie lines or dots even closer together, or starting to spread them out to get more of those lighter values. So here I have a full value range or gradient going from dark to light using something that it can't lighten the pressure on like a pencil. So let me go ahead and show you how we're going to do that here. Now, sometimes students ask me, they pick their first section and they're like, what should I color in? And I go, well, if you can't decide, start somewhere else. Start somewhere where you know what you want to color in and come back to that section. Because in the end, you want to have it balanced. You don't want to have one side of the head be dark and the other be light. You want to have some dark areas, some medium areas, and some light areas all over. So start with what you feel comfortable with and then kind of go from there. Once you fill in an area that's more dark, it'll give you an idea of maybe wanting to stick with a little bit more light values in the area next to it.
Remember that as you work today, we want to have a full range of values. So that means you should have all the way from the black of the Sharpie to the white of your paper and everything in between. So how you can get some of those lighter values in between are by spacing and proximity. So putting lines closer together will make it darker and further apart will make it lighter. And then also using different line weights. So using that thicker Sharpie versus that lighter Sharpie. Don't forget to balance out your darker, your light, and your medium areas so that you have a little bit of each of those values across the whole hair.
And not just heavily concentrated in one area. When you feel like you're done with adding value to your project, go ahead and check with your teacher and see if they have any feedback. If they approve it, then you can go ahead and you can take your eraser and erase all of the pencil marks that are still showing. I hope you have fun today experimenting with creating a variety of values, and I look forward to seeing the final project.